In this exercise, we're going to look at how we manipulate objects by changing their position, how we move them around with this very simple exercise that we've got in front of us. And all we're really going to have to do is just move the position of these sofas, furniture, bits of chairs, whatever, back inside the house. And we're going to be using our tracking as well with that, our polar tracking. So what I'm going to do is I'll zoom in here just to this corner and I'll just left click to select the sofa. Now the sofa is actually something called a block. Okay, so that's a reusable piece of content, but it's effectively been grouped together, and it's got one pick point here, or one grip as they're called, and I can just left click on that grip and move it around and reposition it. Okay, so if maybe I wanted to take that grip, and if I hover over this line, I can hover over the midpoint of that line, and then from there I can extend off by, say, a value of, let's say 300, whatever units this file is working in. And there you go. You see what we've got now is we've got this sofa, and I can actually prove that by saying line, and I can go from that point there to that point there. There we go. That's a distance of, if we highlight it, go over the grip there, distance of 300, so that sofa is 300, I would say probably millimeters, away from the edge of the wall there. So we might get lucky with some of these other objects. We might just be able to pick that up and drag it and hover over the midpoint of that wall, and then if we zoom in a little way, again we can come out by maybe 100. There we go. But what happens when we get to objects like this one, where we've actually got two blocks, and if I were to select both of them and then grab this handle here and move, it just moves the table. So that's no good for us. What I'm going to need to do in that instance is I'm going to use something called my move tool. So up here we've got the move tool, and I will start off by being asked to select objects. Now I don't need to do a Windows polygon for this, I can just stay with a marquee, so I'm just going to left click and drag my marquee out. And when I'm done, I'll right click to say that's it, I've finished with my selection, now I wish to move on in the process. And what I'll then be asked to do is to specify the base point. Now because I want this to sit somewhere against this wall, I'm going to go for the midpoint of this line here, the midpoint at the end of the desk. So I'll left click on that, and now I can move this wherever I want it to be. So I could actually start with the midpoint of that line, and I could come out probably, if we just track that along, there we go. If I come out from the desk there, from the wall rather, by 100. Now that's put that desk a little bit close to the sofa. So what I might do now is say move tool again, grab these two, and I think I'm probably going to select from this edge now, and I'll track up till I hit the wall, and I'll actually track back down again. Now if we look at that, I can possibly just say go to the wall, and then maybe do this again where I come out from the wall by an amount of 100. So what we've actually got is the desk is now placed 100 and 100 away from that wall. It's away from the sofa, which itself is 100 away from the wall, and it's in a good distance away from the two-seater sofa over here, which is about 300 off the wall. So all very simple. I can say move again, and I will grab the table and chairs there. And what I've got to be careful of is, you can see here I've got these lines that I'm snapping to, which really aren't going to help me. So I'm just going to go to a corner for this table, and I'll zoom out. And of course you don't have to pay any attention to where you're putting things. You could just decide that you're going to put them in here. There you go, middle of the room, bang. Doesn't have to be, I mean if you're placing objects like this, it doesn't have to be exact. One thing that might need to be a little bit more exact though is our sink. And again, this is a collection of objects. You can see there we've got two separate grip handles. So again, I'm going to come back to my move tool. Because those objects were selected already, they automatically you know, we already know that we want to move them, so we're just being asked to straight away pick our selection point or our pick point for the move. It should be the middle of that line. And again, I'll come back and I'll pick the midpoint of that line. So that should be absolutely fine there. What I might do is just move that sink away from the tape, away from the wall rather, a little bit. So we'll grab both of those. And we'll take that and push up. And I think we'll probably come up by that amount actually, since it looks about the same as there. There we go. So we have now moved and manipulated and transformed each one of those objects that was outside of the house, and we've moved them inside the house. I'll admit there needs to be one or two more doors in there, but the objects are still inside the house nonetheless.